Well, my worst fears are coming to reality with the upcoming Justice League movie. This movie has a lot of problems riding on the lukewarm success of Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice. However, my worst fears of this movie have come into reality, and that is Jessie Eisenberg has been recast as Lex Luthor. I felt this was the movie's biggest problem because this is not the Lex Luthor I know, and really threw off the tone of the movie. I did a big long blog about Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice at Scott Blaine Perch's blogspot, and one of the things I said in regard to Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor is a villain is supposed to always be that extra spice that brings out the flavor. And Eisenberg's Lex Luthor just didn't have any spice whatsoever. Yet I recently commented about the matter on the DC Cinematic Universe Facebook page, and some fans begged to differ. Some said to me that Eisenberg's Luthor was very similar to that of the Superman Birthright Lex Luthor, and I have read Superman Birthright, and I see no resemblance in Eisenberg's performance, nor any other incarnations of the character, such as John Byrne's Lex Luthor from the 80s, who, quote me if I'm wrong, might have drawn some inspiration from Donald Trump. I am willing to break out Superman Birthright and have myself be proven wrong. However, I just do not see it. Hearing the news that Jesse Eisenberg was recast as Lex Luthor hit me like a bad hangover. And looking online in comment sections, a lot of people seem to approve of him. Is this like our current primary election, where the demographics are just split? For the cold, calculated nature of Lex Luthor, and for the cornball nature of Lex Zuckerberg, I really just do not see it. Now I literally have to accept Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I mean, I literally have to get used to it, get it into my mind, and time is going to have to give a lot of healing. But if you disagree with me about Eisenberg not being Lex Luthor, let me know, and I will do my research. Not all comic movies are one and the same. There were things in the first Superman movie that were not in the comics at the time, but few seemed to complain about it. And back in those days, people didn't get a new comic book movie every few months. Following the first Superman movie, it was just Superman sequels, Supergirl, and Howard the Duck. It really took 10 years for another big superhero movie, which was Batman, but much like some of the comic movies of today, Batman suffered much criticism and wasn't a perfect cut like Superman. But it set the standards for marketing and merchandising, which the first Superman didn't do for some reason. Then it took another 10 years for the next big superhero film, the first Spider-Man. So what I'm trying to say is us comic fans are pretty lucky these days. And given the fact that we're so spoiled, the comic book adaptations, we still see material that isn't quite a product of our personal investment. And we see that quite more often than we think. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2014 was an example of that. The reviews for Out of the Shadows seem to be mixed. I myself haven't seen the movie. I'm only basing these statements from the reviews I have seen. I hear the movie is a step from the 2014 version, which was mostly a product of the studio's creative investment, where they changed the Foot Clan to a military operation having no connection with Splinter, making the movie mostly about April, played by Megan Fox, who protested her way onto the role. So I'm hearing mixed reviews about this movie, with some saying it's an improvement from the first one and gives elements from both the comic and the cartoon. However, still has a few problems, maybe a dozen potholes. Again, Megan Fox is a problem. And is Green Arrow really Casey Jones? I mean, where is that long hair and very Brooklyn attitude Jones had? Quote me if I'm wrong. But did they improve the CGI design on the turtles? Their design in 2014 was very sloppy and uneven. Their head and shape was just all messed up. And their CGI was very unconvincing as far as things like Gollum and Groot, which were really done well. I felt like I was looking through the turtles because they seemed so poorly designed. And they still, at least to me, just looked like cartoons. Looking at out from the shadows, their heads and such seem to be a little more even, and they look a little more touched up, but I could be wrong and you're free to quote me. It also seemed like a big marketing fail because I never saw the turtles themselves on much merchandising in 2014, and I had seen them a lot. I'm seeing their faces a lot more around on this rodeo. Again, why is Megan Fox still in the sequel? I don't know. I mean, they obviously didn't stick with tradition and bring in a new April for the second installment. Again, films such as what I've discussed are products of the studio and producers' ideas and not the investment of their fans. I'll have to see the movie to judge it myself if this is a fan investment. Many have been waiting because, in popular opinion, the Turtles franchise went downhill after Secrets to the Ooze, with things such as Turtles 3, the musical, the Next Mutation program, the early 2000s cartoon reboot, the 2007 OCGI installment. It feels like what we were invested in Turtles has been lost for a long time. And are we ever going to get it back? Does this new movie give us back what we've invested in the Turtles all these years? Comics will probably always give us what we want in the Turtles, if all else fails. And no other product paints the best picture for the Turtles like the comics. Why do studio producers and directors always need to change material just to better themselves and not for the emotional and financial investment of the product's consumer? You think studios would learn from mistakes like Spider-Man 3, yet we get another messy Spider-Man in 2014, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. What are movies really products of these days? There is little buzz in Hollywood over the new Power Rangers installment by Lionsgate, and it's been over 2 decades since there even was a Power Rangers movie. The Power Rangers franchise itself, quote me if I'm wrong, I love Power Rangers. It's a part of my life. But I gotta be honest, the Power Rangers franchise itself is somewhat considered a laughingstock, but it is very appreciated and cherished by its fans. Maybe with Ninja Turtles we often take it way too seriously. But when the first movie came out in 1995, Power Rangers the movie got terrible reviews. I didn't know what to think when Lionsgate announced this project, and that there was enough popularity besides Comic-Cons and in other places in nerd culture to even support the idea. I also wasn't sure what we were even going to get if this would be similar to the 2009 Star Trek reboot, same characters, different actors, a prequel to the out of continuity 1995 flick, or just a whole new concept altogether. Well, it looks like we're getting a little bit of both. I've not been liking what I've been seeing. No intelligent thought was put into uh, this project, just like no intelligent thought was put into Power Rangers when it was Frankenstein from Japan for a 30-minute toy commercial in 1993. Given what's presented in such things as its villain Rita Repulsa, I can see how there can be very little to build off. You could look at the traits of her original character Bandora in Super Sentai, or witchcraft folklore in general. Further to my point, little thought was put into Elizabeth Banks' design for this reboot, set for next year. This Rita looks like a cross between the villain from Neverending Story 2 and an Emerald Maleficent. They say she does have a backstory that is connected to the Rangers. However, her design is way too far from the original and just lacks creativity. But to add insult, they have completely changed the design of the Power Rangers costume to what looks like a product of Tony Stark. Iron Man was a popular movie, but Power Rangers has nothing to do with Iron Man. It makes no sense for them to have metal suits that I could imagine would be hard to fight in. I'm very outraged, as I often am with finished products. I've given so much personal fixation toward Power Rangers, and with these redesigns, they just go so far from the original. I mean, there are so many creative ways they could have represented the original look from the 1995 film, or they could have drawn inspiration from maybe the new comics or some of the fan films. Why not give us our Power Rangers instead of a studio or director's vision of Power Rangers? Kind of like how Michael Bay's Transformers are just easily Michael Bay's Transformers, or how Tim Burton makes things that are just suited for himself. I mean, he changes everything. Like, for example, Alice being an adult. However you like to put it, with the embodiment of nerd culture and fanboys, we are living in the golden age of superhero cinema, and we still get a lot of hits and misses. We are often satisfied with the finished product, and sometimes we aren't, but it's up to the consumer to figure out how to invest. But if too many changes are made from what we are given in some form or other, it's always going to leave a dent.